Hello class, I'm James Ashwood. Today I'll be explaining why we should donate to the American Legion. Did you know that 67,495 out of 630,000 homeless people are veterans? This is a study actually done by the Department of the Veterans Affairs. Now, I believe there is a lack of proper help, and this needs to be addressed, and the American Legion actually does this. Um, but this is because a lot of the veterans don't get the help they need or deserve, and quite frankly, they're not even aware of it. So, kind of build up to that point, my credibility here, I was a vet myself, and my experience transitioning from active duty to being a civilian was pretty abysmal. Despite all the regulations and laws that have actually been changing for that process specifically. Now, this matters to all of us too, because they served us. We're able to live our lives free because of veteran sacrifices and people who have passed away sacrifices. So we should help them. And every donation really does help. It helps with VA claims and benefits. It helps with emergency assistance, and it even helps with their community service that they do. And now we'll get into all that here. Now, the first thing I'm going to speak about is the Department of Veterans Affairs and the claims. So the American Legion actually helps with all the paperwork, all the documentation, and actually submitting it to the Department of Veterans Affairs, whether it's for financial assistance, whether it's for disability claims. The list does go on, but the American Legion can help with all of these claims. And they're even able to assist with retrieving mandatory records and documentation from when you were in the service. That can be kind of hard to get on your own, especially if you don't know where you're looking for. They are experts. There are experts, at least in the organization, that know where to go to get all of these resources. Now, another thing the American Legion does is it raises veterans' awareness of the benefits that they're actually eligible for. So, kind of overall, the American Legion works as personal advocates for the veteran at hand, the veteran they're working for. There's actually an officer that you can go speak with that will help lay out what you're eligible for, and they'll lay out how to do certain specific things, and they will even help you get in touch and to even point you in the right direction. Next thing I'm going to go ahead and talk about here is the National Emergency Fund. Now, what this is it's a emergency fund, obviously. It helps veterans who are displaced from their homes. And this is in the event of natural disasters, declared natural disasters. That is important because if it's not declared, then they're not eligible to actually file for this financial aid. But in the event of a hurricane, say like Katrina, or tornadoes, or any other kind of declared natural disasters up to that, or actually they can claim up to $10,000 in financial aid. And this does cover immediate needs. So, for example, food, shelter, diapers, potable water, things along that need, things we would need to survive every day. Now, the biggest thing in this is ensuring a place to stay for the veterans. So, a lot of the places, especially nowadays, like the homeless shelters, they're all full. It's kind of hard to get a spot, and if they can prove that they could not get a spot there, which is not very far-fetched, then they would be able to qualify and have a place to stay, which is very important when it comes to actually building back up your life, whether that's physically, mentally, spiritually. It's it's a huge help. It's a huge help, and it'll help them build back up and not be homeless. Last thing, the American Legion doesn't only just work with veterans; they also work with their families. They have many programs for the families of veterans as well, and they do many events as well. So many of the programs, there are many programs for the children of vets as well. And what I want to bring up is a scholastically recognized program. It's called the American Legion Boys State. This basically helps high school children who are interested in government or who want to get into government. It helps them actually get into local county and state government, and it helps them participate to give them that experience. And they even offer multiple scholarships based on merit and performance. I believe there's three or four on there, but is it does help them get into there, and it's pretty well recognized as well as far as that community goes. Now, they actually do play a massive role in service as well. The American Legion puts an emphasis on building the safety and the betterment of each of their respective communities, with more than 200 types of projects that they are working on, and their sponsorships from over 14,000 of the American Legion posts. Now, to put that in perspective, small city that I live in, Granbury, there are two American Legion posts. So there are actually a lot of posts nationally, and they actually help their respective communities, and even the outlying communities as well. So they're always trying to do better for the families, for the community, for the veterans. It's all in all just a great organization, and they're great people most of the time as well. So, in conclusion, these donations will help provide much needed services, whether that's for help with the VA, whether it's for financial assistance, or whether it's just that community service and the community help like that. You know, we can all help, and the veterans deserve our help, especially those who can't really help themselves or never actually got that help. And there really is such a broken system that it's it's hard to utilize everything and know everything just yourself without getting some help. Again, I was a veteran myself, and that transition, it was actually really hard. I was not aware of many of the benefits that I was eligible for, and I wish I would have known about the American Legion when I was applying for financial aid for coming to college even, because they would have helped me out with a lot of the hassle and the headache with that, because it was it was a fairly long and hard process to figure out everything on my own because they're very particular. Now, again, this matters to all of us. American Legion is a national organization, and they really put emphasis on building better communities, and that includes more than likely a community that all of us are around. So you can even help your own community by donating to the American Legion. So let's help keep our veterans off the streets. Let's put that 67,000 down one by one. I know we can do it. They served us, but now we really need to serve them. Thank y'all, and hope you have a good night.